NESN.com presents The Hurry Up.
Welcome into Week 5 of The Hurry Up. I'm your host, Rachel Holt. 3 undefeated teams were made in the NFL, and not all of them are who you would expect. First, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, then the Minnesota Vikings, and of course, the Denver Broncos. The 3-1 Patriots do not fall in that category, but they've been without Tom Brady. So now with Deflategate officially over, and hopefully behind us forever, Brady returns to the lineup just in the nick of time. We're going to send it out to Gillette Stadium with our very own Michaela Vernava and Doug Kyde with more. Guys.
Michaela Vernava, Doug Kyde here. We're at Gillette Stadium where, of course, Tom Brady is back. We know this, Doug. What I want to know is what the offense is going to be looking like now in Week 5 going forward, specifically with tight ends Rob Gronkowski and Martellus Bennett. Will we finally be seeing those 2 tight end sets that we've been anticipating?
I think we will. I think we will finally see that. I think that we'll start to see Rob Gronkowski run a lot more routes than we've seen the last couple of weeks. Gronkowski only ran 13 routes on Sunday against the Bills. I think that really increases. There's a report out there that his hamstring still isn't where the Patriots want it to be. I think another week could fix that a little bit. I'd say he looked about 85-90% against the Bills. So if they didn't think that his hamstring was up to it, so I think this is the week that we finally kind of see this offense show its full potential, and that really does start with Gronk and Bennett.
Yeah, and tons of production from Bennett in that Week 4 game against the Bills. Kind of the only bright spot in that game. So lots to look forward to as far as the Patriots offense goes. And now on defense, the sort of forgotten man in the shadows of Brady's return, Rob Ninkovich is returning from his 4-game suspension. What will that do for the Patriots pass rush?
I think it will certainly help it quite a bit. And I think that seeing Ninkovich back probably will mean less of Jonathan Freeney, less of Shea McClellan out there. I actually kind of expect Chris Long to maintain his starting role as the Patriots left defensive end. Patriots have switched up their defense a little bit this year, and we've seen Dante Hightower play near the line of scrimmage in a strong side linebacker role. I think that Rob Ninkovich moves into that role. Hightower moves back to middle linebacker, and this defense as a whole will just be that much better because they're able to play their best 11 guys out there. Ninkovich is certainly one of those guys. Long has proved to be one of those guys as well. So having all of those pieces, pass rush is going to be strong, run game is going to be strong. I think this defense will finally begin, like the offense, to show its full potential.
Patriots back to full strength on both sides of the ball. They are going to be a force and fun to watch. Yeah. Doug, thanks so much.
Here with Darren Hartwell for Fantasy Football, buy, hold, or sell. And by the way, if anyone can find a running back or a tight end that are consistent and can get me some points, please let me know. I'm looking for them. But let's talk some names specifically here. First, Julian Edelman, the Patriots wide receiver, has yet to score a touchdown so far this season. But as we know, everything changes for the Patriots in Week 5, Darren. So what do you think? What do we do with Edelman?
I'm buying Edelman, and the big reason why is he's getting his buddy back in Tom Brady. Edelman caught 7 touchdowns in just 9 games with Brady before he went down with an injury. So he's put up decent numbers. He's caught a good amount of passes with subpar quarterback play. So once he gets his buddy back and Brady, I think that those numbers could go up, and he'll finally find the end zone.
Okay, Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford, he didn't throw a touchdown pass last week. He already has 4 picks this season. Oh, and by the way, he's going up the Philadelphia Eagles defense, which is pretty good. So what do we do with him?
Yeah, I don't like Stafford. I'm selling him. Like you said, no touchdowns last week. The Lions have been pretty erratic on the offensive front, and they're 1-3 this season. Not to mention, Eagles this week. After that, they get the Los Angeles Rams, who also have a very good defense.
Lastly, Todd Gurley hasn't been utilized to his full potential by the Rams yet. Do things start to change for him moving forward?
Yeah, I think they do, and this one's personal for me. He's on my own fantasy team, and I think he's going to turn things around, like you said. He had 5 catches last week, which is a good sign. They're trying to get him the ball in different ways. I mean, this guy's the Rookie of the Year last year. He has 3 favorable matchups coming up, the Bills, the Lions, and the Giants. So I like things going for him going forward. I would stick with him.
Now we're heading back to Gillette Stadium with Doug, who's joined by Zach Cox.
Doug Kyde here at Gillette Stadium with my very similarly dressed fellow Patriots beat writer, Zach Cox. Patriots are taking on the Browns this week. Not a lot of carryover from their 2013 matchup. Bill Belichick just said 1 coach, 6 players, so pretty much a whole new team that the Patriots are facing this week. On offense for the Browns, who's the number 1 guy that you think that the Patriots should kind of be worried about going into this matchup?
Well, I think the most dynamic player is Terrell Pryor, who now is a full-time wide receiver, but as we know, he was Big quarterback star at Ohio State, played quarterback for a couple years for the Raiders. They still line him up in that wildcat sometimes. But I think the guy they most need to stop is Isaiah Crowell. He's second in the league in rushing yards, first in the league in yards per carry. So and with the quarterback uncertainty that the Browns always seem to have, they're going to be relying on the running game. So I think he's a guy that they have to stop this week.
On the defensive side of the ball, Joe Hayden is the big name that guys probably will be focusing in on. But I think Danny Shelton might be a key player in this matchup. He lost about 30 pounds over the offseason. This season, because of that weight loss, he's been a lot more versatile. He's a great run defender, and he's getting after the passer a little bit more. I think that he could affect all facets of the game for the Patriots offense, both getting after Tom Brady, stopping the run, and David Andrews will certainly have his hands full with that big body there in the middle of the Cleveland defense. So, I think a lot of people are expecting the Patriots to win this game, but maybe not a complete walk in the park.
I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the way the Browns have played this season, they've really only been blown out once, I guess you could say, in that Week 1 game against the Eagles. They took the Dolphins to overtime. They blew fourth quarter leads in their 2 other games. I mean, their quality of competition hasn't been particularly good, but I mean, this is a scrappy team. I don't think they're a team that's going to walk in there and lay down, even with Tom Brady now back at quarterback.
Yep, and Bill Belichick is certainly trying to convince his team that Tom Brady will not be a cure-all for the Patriots. We'll see how that goes.
Here with Mike Cole for our lock and upset segment. And Mike, it's been hard week by week to pick who's going to win. We don't really know. But if you had to pick one lock for this week, who would it be?
That feels like a backhanded shot at my 5-10 record last week. But if I was to pick one lock this week, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Houston Texans. The spread's about a touchdown right now. Probably imagine it would be around 7.5 by kickoff. But I just like what Minnesota's done this year. Even without Adrian Peterson, even without Teddy Bridgewater, that defense is relentless. At home, they're even better. They're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 at home against teams with winning records. Houston technically does have a winning record, but I still don't think they're very good. I mean, you saw what happens when they go on the road. They got smoked by New England, couldn't score any points. I just think it's a bad matchup for them on the road against Minnesota. So I like the Vikings to win that pretty easily going away.
Okay, what about an upset?
There's a few this week, but I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans, which seems like a bad choice, really, in hindsight, as I say it out loud. But they're 3.5-point underdogs in Miami against the Dolphins. I don't really like what the Dolphins have done this season. That's not saying a whole lot. But again, you look at the matchup, and the Titans, 4th best rushing offense in terms of yards total. The Dolphins, on the other hand, 4th most rushing yards allowed. So that's a pretty good matchup for the Titans. I think that they can control the ball and kind of keep that game close. And again, another thing, Miami last in the league in time of possession, despite having one of the best 3rd down defenses. They're getting gashed on 1st and 2nd down. I think the Titans kind of try to attack that, run the ball early and often, keep the game close, and kind of pull away late.
Well, Mike, if you're in a Survivor League, it's been tough out there, but Mike can continue to help you. You can listen to The Spread, our podcast, where we talk more about the picks. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'm Zach Cox, and here are my NFL Power Rankings for Week 5. 2 teams I was not expecting much from at all this season took big jumps in our Week 5 rankings. That would be the Atlanta Falcons, who jump up to number 11, and the Los Angeles Rams, who jump from 27 to 19. The Falcons have the NFL's highest scoring offense by a wide margin and have built a 2-game lead for themselves in the NFC South, while the Rams have not lost since being shut out by the San Francisco 49ers in the Week 1. Trending in the other direction are both NFC title game contestants from last year, the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. The Cardinals and Panthers both sit at a disappointing 1-3 entering Week 5, and both lost their starting quarterbacks to injury in Week 4. Finally, we check in with the Patriots, who remain atop our rankings despite being shut out at home by the Buffalo Bills. With Tom Brady set to return from his Deflategate suspension this Sunday in Cleveland, we're keeping New England atop these rankings until we see it falter with its franchise quarterback under center.
Joined by Andre Khatchaturian. Andre, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I have to ask you, there's a couple of surprising names at the top of the NFL standings after just 4 weeks, so let's get into it. If they're pretenders or contenders.
Let's do it.
We're going to start off with the LA Rams. They're 3-1, and they have big division wins against the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Are they pretenders or are they contenders?
You know what? They're contenders. Why not? Listen, I know they're limited offensively, but their defense, they have Aaron Donald. How do you beat opponents in the league? You got to hit quarterbacks in the mouth. They forced 9 turnovers, which is 3rd most. Everybody in the NFC keeps on struggling. The Cardinals have Carson Palmer's banged up, Cam Newton's banged up for the Panthers, Russell Wilson's banged up for the Seahawks. The NFC's wide open, so why not? Rams, contenders.
The Oakland Raiders are 3-1. Derek Carr has 9 touchdowns this season. He's an early MVP candidate. So what do you think, pretender or contender?
Oh, I love the Raiders. They're absolutely contenders. I've loved them since the start of the season. Their offense is electrifying. They have so many weapons. Everybody's going to say, oh, what about their defense? What about their defense? David Amerson, their cornerback, one of the top-rated corners in the league according to Pro Football Focus. I like what the Raiders are doing. I like to see them get a wild card spot in the AFC.
And last but not least, the Atlanta Falcons made a laughingstock of the Carolina Panthers defense. Julio Jones went off for 300 yards on Sunday. Pretender or contender?
Listen, I like what the Falcons have done to start the season, but they're pretenders. We saw this from the Falcons last year. They started off hot and they collapsed in the second half of the season. Again, as I mentioned before, how do you beat opponents in the NFL? You got to hit the quarterback in the mouth. The Falcons just have 4 sacks this year, the lowest in the league. I don't see that translating into success in the long run. So Falcons, pretenders.
Andre actually gets us fired up about everything in the office, even when we're talking about what lunch to get. So Andre, thank you.
Thank you.
The name of the game is Show and Tell. This is where I bring in objects and I use them to give you a few developing thoughts I have on the 2016 NFL season. First object we're bringing in, box of tissues. We're going to give these to New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. because he's been doing a lot of crying lately, and frankly, I'm getting a little sick and tired of it. And I also did not like his post-game remarks after the loss to the Vikings on Monday night. Him saying, oh, if I sneeze the wrong way, I'm going to get a flag for it, I'm going to get fined for it. Oh, boo-hoo, Odell, all right? Get a grip. It's not because you're acting like a petulant child. You're right, everybody's out to get you. So whatever, we're going to give you those tissues to deal with your all the whining you want to do. Anyways, moving on to bigger and brighter things here. We're going to bring in this. It's not an object, but it's Kirk Cameron from Growing Pains, and that's because Growing Pains is exactly what Tennessee Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota and Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Jameis Winston is going through right now. These two were expected to take the next step this season in their sophomore campaigns. Haven't done it. Instead, they're getting overshadowed by quarterbacks with far less experience across the league. The Titans and Bucs both sitting at 1-3. And if you want to argue that it's because the talent around them stinks, well, whatever. I'll give that to you. But I think they have some weapons. And you know what? The good quarterbacks make the people around them better. They're just not doing it. So I need to see more of them. And finally, I'm bringing in some, I got some earrings right here. These represent ice, as the kids call it. Dumb kids, but kids nonetheless. I couldn't bring in ice cubes or vanilla ice CD, and I don't think anybody wants crystal meth rolling through here anytime soon. So we'll stick with the earrings. Anyways, it represents Matty Ice, who's been on fire. That might be an oxymoron, but whatever. We'll roll with it. He's just been tearing up through the first 4 weeks of the regular season, leads in a lot of statistical categories, but has been doing it against garbage defenses, so I need to see it against some stiff competition. Fortunately, we're going to get a chance to see Matt Ryan against the Denver Broncos defense. Quite a task in Week 5. We'll get a better gauge as to whether the Falcons are for real and whether Matty Ice is for real. Could be an MVP candidate, but Week 5 will go a long way towards determining that.
That does it for this episode of The Hurry Up. Thanks for watching, and if you didn't get enough of us, you can check out our podcast, and of course, keep it on NESN.com for all your Patriots and NFL news.